What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Block Hash Podcast channel. Today, we're going to talk about the Ethereum price chart. We're going to do a little bit of analysis and cover where Ethereum is at, where the price is likely to go in 2023, going into 2024, as well as some on-chain metrics that I'm seeing on my end that I think are really important. So tune in to the very end of the video to check those out. All right. Be sure to check out our sponsor as well, BENFT. They're revolutionizing education through DeFi methods and artificial intelligence. They are a fantastic project, really taking education to a whole different level and experience for students. So check that out in the description below. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Also, if you want this video on Ethereum before it comes out on YouTube, sign up for the Patreon. It's 2 cups of coffee a month, and you get access to it before everyone else does. It's a good deal, guys. All right, let's dive into it. So Ethereum, again, it is still in our purple range. Now, this purple range, for anyone that hasn't seen the past videos, is kind of our consolidation range long term for a lot of different altcoins, Bitcoin as well. And what we've been able to notice for the top of this purple range is that we have resistance around that 20,000 mark. Okay, we've popped through it one time, we've tapped it at least twice, and haven't been able to break out. Okay, we've sat in this purple range quite a bit. We have dipped below it, but we've also popped back up significantly. We also have what I consider an inflection zone. So what is an inflection zone? An inflection zone is a period where I think something is way too oversold or way too overbought, and it's likely to flip positive. All right, we've seen that with Ethereum in more than one instance. And what makes this bullish is the fact that, did I just drag that across the screen? There we go. What makes this very bullish for Ethereum is the fact that its former ceiling has now turned into a former floor, okay, right around the $1,700 level. We witnessed this one time here, the 27th of March, where it bounced off of it, and prior to that, a couple times. It came down here the 11th of May, it bounced off of it, came down here the 9th of June, and then had a rush down through our inflection zone, but it hit our long-term trend line and popped back up. That buoyancy effect that we always talk about. So there's a very strong level here at this former ceiling that has now formed a former floor. And since it's more of a range than it is an actual number, and you guys should look at things in ranges instead of in numbers, because that's more realistic to how things work. History doesn't repeat itself exactly the same with the same tune. It's always slightly different. So yeah, we have that ceiling turning into a floor, which is a very bullish sign. And as a result of that, Ethereum has stayed up here in this higher range. Now, it's been ranging here, you could argue all the way back to early April in this purple zone, and it hasn't really stayed above or stayed below. That's fine. As long as Ethereum is staying consistent, consolidating, eventually, that will turn into something. And I think it's gearing up for a move. If we look at the long-term trend for higher lows, the most notable two are the 10th of March and around the 15th of June, where it supported that trend. That trend also goes all the way back to the 31st of December. God, why do I keep moving my trend line? To the 19th of December and all the way back to the 21st of November of 2022, where we had the FTX disaster. So since then, we've held this very, very well. Now this, if we continue consolidating sideways, we're likely to hit this trend line sometime in the first week or so of September, around September 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. We should get a indication whether or not Ethereum is going to keep with this trend. So again, 3 things can happen. Let's grab my handy brush. We can hit this line and we can crash down and we retest our inflection zone, okay, which is entirely possible. But the bad news is it's less likely to hold that if it can't hold this trend line. The whole point of holding that inflection zone is showing support so that when we come down to this trend line, that we're more likely to hold it. So if we break the trend line early before going into the inflection zone, that's probably a bearish sign. All right. If we come down, hit the inflection zone, and we range sideways, that's another possibility. We might be looking into later in September for this to play out because this could range high as well. And with that case, we just wouldn't know. You know, it's not bullish or bearish. It's just going to keep ranging sideways. But I think we'll get some clarity before we get to October, November. The bullish scenario is we come in here, we hit this line, and then we rush upwards. The key to a rush upwards is we have to break through the $2,000 level, and we have to sustain that. We've gotten as high as 2140, but that was an oversold territory. You can see that on the RSI. We've tried to come up and hit it, but it's just at the top of that RSI band. We're just not getting through. So the question is, what is it going to take to get through? Ethereum is a little bit different compared to some of the other altcoins out there because it's the second biggest in market cap in the world. Another thing to note is the EMAs. If we look at the 100 EMA, we're sitting right on it. At the 200 EMA, we have this buoyancy support. So we definitely could shoot below that. So we have to be careful. But on the 100-day, we're writing it right now, and we should get an indication if we're going to poke through that and creep down to the 1800 level, or if we're going to pop and sit closer to the 1900 level. The 20 and the 50 are not relatively in play right now. They show general movement, but they're not really supporting the Ethereum price. So we're not going to look at the 20 and 50. We're just going to look at the 100 and 200. On the Bollinger Band, bands are really tight. We're not seeing a clear break up or down, but we're seeing resistance on that upper band where it seems to have a really hard time getting out of it. Every time it hits it, it seems to pull back. Last time we popped through it was early April. So will we see that again? That's a very good question. Now I want to look at some on-chain metrics, as they are very important to Ethereum since staking has become the new thing, switching from proof of work to proof of stake. And it's holding up very well against Bitcoin and altcoins with very strong address activity and network growth. This is statistics and charts from Sentiment in particular. And I'm going to read through some of this. I just want to find the most juicy stuff so I don't bore you. So the former metric has a value of 450,000, meaning that 450,000 addresses are participating in transaction activity on the Ethereum blockchain daily. This level is the highest that the indicator has been in around 2 weeks. So in the last 2 weeks, Ethereum has actually spiked in terms of its address activity. That's good. It's showing people are moving Ethereum one way or the other. We'll go back to the price chart in just a second. Generally, whenever the chain is witnessing a high number of active addresses, it's a sign that a large amount of traders are interested in the cryptocurrency at the moment. That's very true. And since ETH is receiving a large amount of traffic at the moment, it's possible that the price could soon register some volatility, although its direction could go either way. New addresses on the network are also being created at a rate of more than 80,000. That's a very strong buy activity metric. Shows people are bidding to get into the market, suggesting that new users are constantly picking up the cryptocurrency, even in small amounts. In the chart, the data for ETH versus Bitcoin has also shown. It would appear that back in May, Ethereum has been rallying against Bitcoin, and while this had been happening, both the active addresses and the network growth had been at values similar to now. So we're seeing activity more than anything begin to kick up for Ethereum, which is good. You don't see that technically in the transactional volume. of ETH bought and sold on the order book, but you see it in addresses that are being created. So at this consolidation level, people are continuing to consolidate as well as stake their Ethereum on the network, adding more value to the market cap of Ethereum overall, which will bolster higher prices when it does rebound. So while I don't believe that Ethereum is going to have a catalyst right now that's going to send it all the way up to 3,000, 4,000, maybe even the 5,000 level right now, this consolidation will support a really strong bottom where we're likely to revalue eventually to 3,000, 4,000, clear this liquidity gap at least, and we're going to stay much higher when we do correct again. So when you look at this in the long term, this is a very good sign for Ethereum. It's calmed down. We're not seeing the swings like we saw in 2022 that were nasty. We have the same high that we had the 13th of August back in 2022. So we know where the resistance area is. We know that when we crack that, Ethereum is going to run through this liquidity gap all the way up to 3,000. And I do imagine it will be very strong at 3,000 because of the addresses that are accumulating right now. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Ethereum. I think it's in a very good position. I'm not seeing any volatility right now that makes me excited, but I do think that it's primed for that as soon as the market really turns a corner. So Ethereum, like Bitcoin, is one of those things you want to hold long term that will be very rewarding, I think, come mid to late 2024. Right now, it's a game of accumulation, and that is exactly what is happening across the last 4 months or so, April, May, June, July. Yeah, this is exactly what's happening. So read between the lines on this stuff. That's all what chart analysis is about. All right, guys, make sure to like the video, comment your thoughts down below on where you think Ethereum might be going and any metrics and analytics that you might have also picked up in support of Ethereum staking, Ethereum address activity, volume, potential volatility, other metrics and indicators you like to use. And yeah, feel free to share those. Share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please do. And if you are a subscriber, thank you so much. You guys are the best. Talk to you guys soon. Cheers.